In 1983, the video game company Atari launched a service where 1980s gamers could connect their system to their telephone, and they could call a hotline, and they could even download a game from Atari's servers. The name of this service was GameLine. So we're just going to go ahead and change that. Sweet. Alright, there you go. Video over, go buy a CD or something. Okay, fine. Throughout history, we can see major advancements that once dominated but eventually faded from relevance, not with a bang, but an agonizingly slow whimper. Physical media. I'm talking video games. I'm talking movies. I'm talking music. I'm talking books. These industries' physical products are currently going the way of the dodo, out here getting hunted in the woods to borderline extinction. But why should you care? What real-world problems could you, the consumer, face in the coming years? And stick around till the end where we take a look at the absolute worst digital products out there. I want to address the number one comment I know I'm going to see. Default cheesecake. I still own tons of physical media and buy lots of stuff physically. I disagree with your points, even though you are stunningly gorgeous. Really? But check the title of this video. Slowly dying.
Big difference between mostly dead and all dead.
An entire style of product normally isn't irrelevant overnight, but gradually phased out. I mean, when the computer first came out, people didn't immediately go, "Yo, Chris! What's up? The computer dropped." What? No way. Yeah. Oh my god. Fuck this typewriter. Or when the telephone gained traction, a significant portion of people still relied on telegraphs. There are always going to be people, regardless of popularity, that will collect and use older products no matter what. I would know. However, I know I'm in the minority of people, and we're currently living in an era where digital media is becoming the norm. If you prefer consuming digital media, more power to you. My goal with this video is to simply discuss the growing shift in media and highlight some points for you to consider as a consumer in the coming years. Physical media is dying simply because digital media is thriving. I'll get into all my data and all that with references. I'm not trying to get H-Bomber Guide out here. But ignore the numbers for just a second and think about your personal experience with media in the past 10 years. When you wanted to put a movie on at home, did you put in a DVD? Or did you go to a streaming service? How often do you listen to your music online? For all my epic gamers out there, yeah! How much of your video game collection has become digital? How much of your Target's video game section has become more and more of these lame-ass cardboard cutouts? Like, what the f*** is this? This isn't a disc. Oh, did you buy the collector's edition for God of War Ragnarok? That's so cute. Sorry, buddy, no game for you. Only this little piece of paper. Enjoy your dwarven dice set, my guy.
Escalators, escalators, escalators!
Sony and Nintendo's recent financial reports have revealed some interesting trends. I'll put a link to all these sources in the description if you're curious. Looking at Sony's financial statements from the past few years, we can see a clear trend in the profitability of their digital versus physical game sales. Since about 2019, physical game sales have been completely dwarfed by digital games. You can see some increase in physical sales here, but they pale in comparison to the steady growth of digital games. With this data in context, it makes sense that in Sony's most recent financial quarter, physical software only accounted for a whopping 4% of their games and network services sector. Nintendo showed a similar pattern in their figures too. At the end of their March 2023 quarter, they reported a staggering 48% of software sales were digital, which is a roughly 6% increase from their previous fiscal year. You can see similar steady growth in digital sales from their previous financial quarters as well. This current video game generation also saw Sony's first experimentation with an all-digital console, which despite the novelty still represented a quarter of console sales at launch. In the same vein, Microsoft's all-digital console, the Series S, saw significant success as well. Now, in fairness, both digital consoles were marked at a lower price, but that to me signals that these companies are marketing the digital versions as the more accessible option for consumers, where the physical is more your luxury high-end version. You only buy it if you really want physical games, so you gotta shell out that extra cash. Books are still holding on strong for now, likely be one of the last true holdouts of physical media. But still, the industry is in midst of a slow, gradual digital change. What about music? Well, look at the number of annual Spotify and Apple Music users since 2015. And then compare it with CD album sales. Home movies? Same thing. I know it hurts, but it's true. I've checked all my sources. The numbers don't lie. Those numbers are great and all, but Why should you care? Let's talk about ownership. I hope this isn't a shock to anyone, but when it comes to digital media, realistically, you own nothing. If you buy a game or a movie digitally, you don't own it. What you bought was essentially a license to use that software. Well, you know, the funny thing about licenses is they eventually expire, and there's no guarantee that the purchases you made digitally will be there forever. You're essentially gambling that these companies are going to play nice and let you have access to that software if they want you to, but you're gambling against an opponent who has all the chips. Put it on black, Luigi, I'm on a heater. I got a personal example. In 2015, my sweet child Bloodborne was birthed from Miyazaki's womb. Push, Miyazaki! Oh my god, it's Demon Souls on the PS3! Put it back in. Sorry you had to see that? Anyway, when Bloodborne came out, I got it on my PS4 using my PlayStation Plus account. But because I was a broke-ass high school kid at the time, I had to cancel my PS Plus membership. Despite the fact that I had the entire game downloaded to my PS4, Sony blocked access because the account associated with that game was no longer active. So I had this masterpiece of a game that I paid full price for just sitting in video game purgatory, and all I could do was look at it. The issue of ownership really gets scary when you look at how monopolistic digital media has become. In the streaming world, you've got a handful of streaming services that gobble up most available media. You got Netflix, Max, Disney Plus, Hulu, which is owned by Disney, so I'm going to put that back in there, Apple TV, Paramount Plus, and Amazon Prime. Okay, let's throw in Peacock too. I know there's also tons of other smaller streaming services like a Fubo. I don't know what the fuck a Fubo is, but realistically, these are the streaming giants most people use. That is 7 mega companies that can essentially monopolize whatever media they want and acquire or sell media licenses as they see fit. Despite the fact that you, the consumer, are paying a monthly fee to view these licenses, you have no say in what goes on the platform or what comes off. Hope you enjoyed watching one show on Netflix because in a year it could be gone. I know I'm making this sound scary, but in an era where the consumer has less rights than ever, we should be aware of when monopolies are forming. It's important to ask yourself if the price of convenience is always worth the cost of ownership.
Nobody gives a care about the fate of labor as long as they can get their instant gratification.
Price is another factor you should consider as a consumer. The price of digital media is always controlled by the company that sells it. There is no used digital games or a secondhand Audible link. You're not going to walk into GameStop and find a great deal on a half-scratched-off Nintendo eShop card. Although knowing GameStop, yeah, you probably would. New game, my ass! Physical media prices typically decrease in value as time goes on and the market is replaced with newer products. But digital media is a unique exception, since the vendors have complete control of how they distribute their product. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that digital games never go on sale, but once again, you're gambling against a company's wishes. A game can only go on sale if they want it to. A digital piece of media can depreciate in value if they want it to.
It just works.
The fact that there is media we consume physically, whether it be video games, movie, music, whatever, has created an entire sector of businesses that resell and refurbish these products. And since I'm a fully enlightened, altruistic, locally sourced GigaChad gamer, I far prefer to purchase media I could normally buy digitally from a local business. Oftentimes I've found that going to my local stores and buying this stuff in person can be cheaper than some digital shops. I think that trading the instant convenience of a digital purchase for the experience of going to a cool local shop is far more rewarding. But maybe that's just because I'm better than you. Nerd. Now, so far in this video, I have failed to mention one very important workaround to all of these problems. A workaround that has the best of both worlds. Ownership, price, convenience, it's all there. It typically involves taking to the high seas, walking the plank, and singing a sea shanty or two, if you catch my drift.
You are a pirate!
Now, for legal reasons, I'm not going to use my minuscule platform here to advocate that you commit the not victimless crime of piracy, since I know you would never think of doing such a heinous act. I know you would never download a car. If you're tired of how expensive digital media can be and you don't want to break the law,
You violated the law!
or download something sketchy from some piracy website, might I suggest seeing if you can find it physically. Now, you might have noticed for the past few seconds here, I've been using some shots from an old PSA from the early 2000s. The goal of this PSA was to get kids to not commit the act of piracy, but I very vividly remember every time this commercial came on, I would get super excited and like hyped to go steal a movie because they just made it look so cool. Like, it was the coolest looking commercial. The music went insanely hard. Like, you had one job to do with this commercial and you just made piracy look like some spy shit. So that's why I'm recording this video from my jail cell. Despite the benefits of physical media, there are some valid reasons why most people prefer digital these days. Arguably, the biggest reason is convenience. It's just easier to click a few buttons and have access to all the content you could want. Some people simply don't have the space to store physical media too. The environmental cost is another valid argument. Producing physical media often requires plastic packaging. Not to mention the environmental cost of producing DVDs creates significantly more pollution when compared to digital media. Fascinatingly though, now that digital media can stream at higher resolutions and the volume of people consuming digital media has drastically increased, there's been growing concerns that emissions for consuming digital media might surpass physical in the coming years. While there is always going to be an environmental cost to producing physical media, I think there's a balance we can find. Perhaps we could go back to using more recyclable packaging. I mean, cardboard used to be the norm for video games and VHS tapes, so maybe we could bring that back. Then you could still have fancy cover art that is more recyclable than plastic. And you could still let obsessive nerds like myself put our games on display.
You're safe with me. You're safe with me. You're safe with me.
We live in an ever-changing world. The technologies we create and the mediums in which we interact are always shifting. If you've made it this far in the video and your only takeaway was that I'm an insane person that collects all discs that I see, that's fine. At the very least, I hope regardless of whatever media you prefer to consume, you at least learn something new and had a laugh. But there's one product out there that is beyond valid criticism. A product that's so profoundly digital it's stupid. What the fuck is with these fridges? Who's putting a digital touchscreen on a fridge? Newsflash Nintendo, if you want to know what's in the fridge, you can just... I'm not trying to hack into the mainframe, write 15,000 lines of code just to have the fridge scan my balls so I can retrieve my chicken nuggies. Like, who had this idea anyway? Ooh, it's like a fridge, but yo, what if we put an iPad in front of it? I'm not even gonna hear one valid argument as to why these fridges are good, because they're not. They're stupid, and I hate them. The only comments I should see on this video is either how handsome I am, or digital fridge slander. Anything else, boom, you're banned, blocked. My dad owns YouTube, so you're done. Oh, I forgot about Waluigi redeems a gift card.